Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Luo Feng comprehended assiduously. Up against the three ice mountains, any great being would pale in comparison. And those beautiful lore engravings that resembled meteor-like rays embodied the final, true secrets. Just looking at them was a kind of enjoyment, and they enabled Luo Feng's understanding of blades to consistently increase by leaps and bounds. Immersed in the process of comprehending, Luo Feng hardly noticed half a year go by. Although it was set to be half a year, his remote ocean body was comprehending within a miniature universe, which therefore brought the interval up to as long as 5,000 years. Combination. Star River Master may be formidable, but his so-called combination of secret technique, River in the Dark, is beyond rigid. Luo Feng gently shook his head. First, it is similar to a miniature universe, a secret technique used to complement attacks. Although the combination was quite well done, the intention of forming this combination seems to arise from the need for a shortcut. This is the one true path we need to take if we want to come up with a combination of the strongest secret technique. A blade suddenly appeared in Luo Feng's hands. It was absolute guessed. Since he had gained crazy demon extermination godly armor, the strongest battle technique he wielded was naturally extermination god. So absolute guessed was seldom used. Foggy light, Luo Feng whispered. I achieved a breakthrough for this technique, and have brought it to the state of a strongest secret technique, so now, I shall use foggy light, to create a combination. Because he was a high achiever in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings, he was able to comprehend quite a few strongest secret techniques while in the boat of Mausoleum. He did likewise for foggy light, which was originally an ultimate secret technique of a universe overlord. He improved it to perfection, and thus, it reached the state of a strongest secret technique of a universe master. Standing above the chaotic airflow and looking far into the distance at the three ice mountains, Luo Feng's hand, which was holding absolute guest blade, suddenly moved. A hazy thread suddenly appeared in mid-air, left in mid-air by his blade. It was like a dream, it seemed to be filled with the essence of foggy light. Shortly after, another appeared. Thread after thread appeared continuously. Instantly, a tremendous number of dreamlike threads, enough to cover the entire space between heaven and earth, appeared in mid-air. As time passed, the speed at which the threads were being formed quickened, and the power of the threads grew more terrifying as they continued to burst out while gaining strength. Streams of hazy threads resembling fog continued to appear until, finally, they all transformed into a shadow of a blade that seemed to fill up the entire void space. As this blade shadow brushed past, it seemed to clean up the entire void space as though it were a piece of cloth. It wiped away everything. It might have seemed like a simple virtual shadow, but it wielded a power that could make one shudder and tremble. The first move shall be named Foggy Light Void Space. Luo Feng laughed lightly. Creating a combination of strongest secret techniques was nothing too difficult for him these days, especially after spending such a long time on cultivation, through concurrently studying the Rhinoceros Emperor game and the secret techniques of the Ninth Deep Abyss. Be it the ability to comprehend, or the ability to create secret techniques, he had long been highly accomplished. If it was merely to create a combination of strongest secret techniques, Luo Feng was capable of going faster. Yet, after learning the secrets the three ice mountains contained and comprehending the 360 blade manuals, Luo Feng was no longer interested in resorting to such substandard, shortcut combinations of strongest secret techniques like River in the Dark. He was more oriented toward using a true combination of ultimate techniques. The concept of foggy light void space was achieved by continuously superimposing and overlapping until the perfect limit was met. Then the ultimate power would be released. That cold, mechanical voice suddenly resounded. The first move of candidate's blade technique has been created. Luo Feng was shocked and looked up at that star in the dark sky with a slight frown. Seems like the blade technique I created is still under supervision. Whether it was truly his creation or not was, in fact, easy to tell. Executing a technique that he created by himself, compared to executing someone else's creation, that he had acquired resulted in differing amounts of power being released. My combination of strongest secret techniques has yet to meet the requirements. The expectations must be very high. Luo Feng was no longer complacent over his creation, foggy light void space. He continued to comprehend the 3 mountains of blades. Time passed, and the more he studied the inheritance of the blade, the more profound Luo Feng felt it was, to the extent that he started to feel dissatisfied with his earlier creation, foggy light void space. He wanted to create an even stronger blade technique. Within Huge Axe Creator's miniature universe, remote ocean body sat cross-legged with both eyes looking into the void space. A trace of godly power took the form of a fleeting human shadow that was executing moves from the various sets of blade techniques while numerous blade techniques were being created. The diagrams of secret engravings were extremely skilled in the creation of secret techniques to begin with. Even though Luo Feng's starting achievements in the diagrams of secret engravings were merely at the level of a universe knight, he was still able to create golden light, which was an ultimate secret technique of a universe master, albeit by a stroke of luck. To create secret techniques, according to the laws and studying the diagrams of secret engravings, to create secret techniques, were fundamentally 2 different methods. Between the 2, diagrams of secret engravings were more direct. At that moment, Luo Feng's was changing his mind as sets of blade techniques were emerging at an extremely fast rate, so fast that he practically found it unbelievable. This was how impressive the studies of diagrams of secret engravings was. Compared to the 360 blade manuals, my blade technique is shabby. The path of the golden space should be much stronger. Should be. Luo Feng felt a vague emotion stirring in his heart. After he spent such a long time comprehending the 3 mountains of blades, that feeling got even stronger, as though the burning passion in his heart was being suppressed by a layer that seemed impenetrable and impossible to break through. Within him, that feeling remained in deliberation. As his comprehension of blade techniques deepened, and his achievements in the diagrams of secret engravings increased, nearing the limit of a universe master, Luo Feng attained a clearer comprehension of what his next move should be. In the blink of an eye, 9 years had passed. In the land of inheritance, standing on the chaotic airflow, Luo Feng drew absolute guest blade from behind. Clang! The sound of the blade being wielded was transmitted throughout the void space. Upon flipping my palms, there will be one universe. Luo Feng was silently chanting. Rise! His blazing godly power was like the vast sky, and with Luo Feng as the core, it spread out to enshroud a part of the void space to form a world of its own. Shortly after, this miniature universe suddenly shrank and collapsed. As it collapsed, it transformed into streams of dazzling golden blade rays. Altogether, 10,081 streams of golden blade rays were densely packed together, complementing one another as they hacked toward the core position. It was like a giant star that had been destroyed, expanding one moment, then shrinking and transforming into a black hole the next. Its power was simply unbelievable. Luo Feng's face registered a highly emotional expression as he whispered, "This move has met the limit of the path of the golden space." The evolution of the golden space. 10,081 possibilities, all combined into one move. Only the destruction of the universe will be able to bear the weight of its power. A power so strong that it is even much stronger than the self-destruction of great being. This is a true combination of ultimate techniques. It may even be a notch higher than 5 Chaos Masters' ultimate technique, which he created with adherence to the 5 great combination laws. This move shall be called Golden Universe. Excitement. Sobbing and sighs. Upon creating this move, Luo Feng knew that this move, which he had finally created upon exhausting all the comprehended secrets, was the true limit of the path of the golden space on its use of secret techniques. It was truly the one perfect move he had created. The second move of candidate's blade technique has been created, announced that cold, mechanical voice. Luo Feng looked up at that star in the dark sky and waited silently for a moment. Then he frowned. Huh. I have already created this move, yet I am still unable to meet Du and Dong River's expectation. Even this is not enough to meet Du and Dong River's expectation. Could it be I must create a secret technique of a universe supreme master before I can meet his expectations? Foggy light void space was a stellar combination of ultimate techniques. It was stronger than river in the dark, and probably comparable to 5 Chaos Masters' Great Extermination ultimate technique. And Golden Universe was truly a perfect move he created upon exhausting all that he comprehended to meet the limit of the golden space. The way Luo Feng saw it, this was, theoretically, the true ultimate limit that he could reach for a secret technique at the level of a universe supreme master. There was no way he could further surpass it. If these 2 moves he had created were still not enough to meet the requirements, there had to be something of a higher level that he had to create. Universe Supreme Master. Luo Feng was frustrated. What should I do? Becoming a Universe Supreme Master was difficult. All the diagrams of secret engravings did not work out. With respect to the diagrams of secret engravings, Luo Feng's peak was only at the limit of a Universe Master. Other paths might also be as such, unless Luo Feng chose to take a whole new path. Maybe then he could possibly achieve a breakthrough, and become a Universe Supreme Master. If he was not a Universe Supreme Master, yet he had to create a secret technique at the level of a Universe Supreme Master, within the whole universe ocean, this could be said to be an impossible mission. Without a breakthrough, there was no way he could comprehend the secrets at that level. Of course, previously, when Luo Feng's achievement level in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings was only at the level of a universe knight, he had created golden light. Theoretically speaking, given his current achievement level in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings, which was near the limit of a universe master, it was possible for him to create a secret technique of a universe supreme master. Especially with the 360 blade manuals for reference, and the 3 mountains of blades as guidance. Theoretically, it was possible. Since Duandong River had made this arrangement, and with the 3 mountains of blades as guidance, Luo Feng should be able to create a much stronger move. However, there was no precedence for this in all of Universe Ocean. It was too difficult. I will have to take a gamble. Luo Feng gritted his teeth, and decided to brave his way through it all. In another land of inheritance within the space of inheritance, the handsome blue blood knight looked at the 2 lofty ice mountains before him. Within these ice mountains, there were countless meteor-like light rays dancing everywhere. Even if he could not decipher the secrets they carried, he still found them to be extremely beautiful. I have a feeling, a move has reached the ultimate limit of the path of time and space, Blue Blood Knight mumbled to himself as he sought that feeling. In another land of inheritance, on a chaotic airflow, Dear Bugmaster sat cross-legged with brows furrowed in deep thought. Before him was a lofty ice mountain. With 36 manuals for reference, these lore engravings contain the ultimate secrets, said Dear Bugmaster. I am a 6th-tiered universe master to begin with. I have very easily created a perfect secret technique that can be said to be at the level of a universe master, and even moved on to creating 2 kinds of secret techniques in succession of one another. But I have yet to meet the expected requirements. Could it be I must create a secret technique of a universe supreme master? Dear Bug Master was frustrated. He was a 6th-tiered universe master, and had lived long enough to know all the secrets required to create secret techniques at the level of a universe master. It was merely because a Holy Land universe was unable to breed universe supreme masters. Thus, he could only remain a universe master. Given his current power, if he were to be placed within the primal universe, he could be hopeful of breaking through and becoming a universe supreme master. And his current power was an accumulation of his experience over umpteen reincarnation eras. It was a rich accumulation, and this time around, he even had the help of Purple Moon Ancestor. Certainly, he would be able to achieve something remarkable. According to what Ancestor says, the lore engravings are the true ultimate power. It is where all the laws are combined. With the help of the lore engravings, it is indeed possible to comprehend, despite the difficulty involved. It all depends on one's ability to comprehend. Dear Bug Master was extremely frustrated. At that moment, several aged universe masters, particularly those from East Emperor Holy Land and Purple Moon Holy Land, who had already created many combinations of strongest secret techniques, all seemed to be stuck at the same threshold. It was just that those who passed the second bottleneck had 36 manuals for reference and an ice mountain to view. Those who passed the first bottleneck did not have any manual to start with. Only an ice mountain to view. Wishing to meet Duandong River's requirements merely based on this simple and basic inheritance was extremely difficult. Yet not a single great being dared to show any hint giving up. They were all trying their best. All of them coveted that slightest trace of a possibility, the trace of a possibility of receiving the core inheritance of the pulse of Duandong River. Unable to become a universe supreme master, yet having to create a secret technique that was on the level of a universe supreme master. This was like a gigantic barrier that nature had set before their paths, hindering Luo Feng, Deer Bug Master, Yuzon Master, Blue Blood Knight, and the various other great beings. Within Universe Ocean, there could be simply no solution at all. Luo Feng's teacher, Primal Chaos City Leader, would not be able to achieve it either, but now, Duandong River was obviously forcing them to succeed. Time flew by. Within the blink of an eye, another 3 decades passed. The virtual universe. Huge axe creator. Luo Feng sat cross-legged with a great quantity of 3-dimensional virtual shadows from the Rhinoceros Emperor game surrounding him. His brows were furrowed as he looked at the primitive giant. I have been thinking very hard, but I still cannot find a stronger blade technique. Would Huge Axe Creator like to give me some pointers on how I should advance? Huge Axe Creator, also seated cross-legged, replied, within that ancient civilization, the inheritance from the pulse of Duandong River is extremely powerful. So they set very stringent requirements for their heirs. For him to have such a demand, naturally there would be such a possibility. Luo Feng nodded. He was aware of that possibility, but where could he find it? He had been studying and pondering diligently, but had made no progress at all. This feeling was antagonizing. Besides, according to the Golden Space Path, Golden Universe was theoretically at its perfect limit. How else could he achieve a breakthrough? If he himself could not find any traces of flaws, then there was no way he could further perfect it. The inheritance of the blade has bestowed you with 360 blade manuals and 3 mountains of blades, Huge Axe Creator prompted in a hushed tone. It must have its purpose for doing so. I am also aware that to achieve a breakthrough, I will need to take reference from the 360 blade manuals and the mountains of blades, said Luo Feng. But how can I do so when I cannot seem to find traces of any possible ways? Luo Feng felt helpless. After creating Golden Universe, it might have seemed as though 3 decades had passed, but in truth, 30 eras had gone by. It had been 30 eras, yet he had not made any progress. Without any sign of a breakthrough, how could he not feel discouraged? Huge Axe nodded. I have asked Teacher Origin before. Teacher Origin? Luo Feng's eyes lit up. Yes. Huge Axe nodded, then slowly said, Teacher Origin said, if you want a breakthrough, the source lies within the 3 mountains of blades. Luo Feng gave a slight frown as he muttered to himself in silence. The source was within the 3 mountains of blades. Huge Axe Creator continued to say, the 3 mountains of blades contain the ultimate mysterious existence that can possibly help you create a secret technique of the level of a universe supreme master, even though your achievement in the studies of diagrams of secret engravings is limited to the level of a universe master. This is what we mean by executing and creating, yet not necessarily truly understanding. Executing and creating, yet not necessarily truly understanding. Luo Feng nodded slightly. What Teacher Origin said makes sense, Luo Feng whispered. Previously, I was able to create golden light. Today I will be able to create something even stronger. Actually, judging from the experiences of countless great beings from the universe ocean, the possibility of creating a secret technique at the level of a universe supreme master was 0. Yet the 3 icebergs gave this situation a trace of hope. Difficult. Simply too difficult. It was not just Luo Feng who was stuck at this stage. There were a few other great beings from East Emperor Holy Land who were stuck at the same stage, and even Blue Blood Knight, who had spent 20 years to create a perfect secret technique at the level of a universe master, was stuck at the same stage. Ancestor, there is no hope at all. Blue Blood Knight sat on the leaf of a huge tree, filled with distress and anxiety. Painstakingly, I searched, yet I could not find any inspiration at all. Ancestor. Yang Zon Master also wore an anxious expression. East Emperor Holy Land has existed for an endlessly long time, and there wasn't a single time when a Universe Master could create a secret technique at the level of a Universe Supreme Master. How am I going to achieve a breakthrough? Do please give me some guidance, Ancestor. The other candidates simply sat cross-legged on the leaves of that huge tree and listened. This was within a certain space, belonging to East Emperor Holy Land, where time was accelerated by 10,000 times. The entire plain was mainly occupied by an ancient tree that had countless leaves. At that moment, the great beings, including East Emperor Ancestor himself, sat cross-legged on the tree leaves. Those are engravings of laws that you all have yet to come across before. East Emperor Ancestor's entire being radiated a faint green light, and he was seated far away, where he slowly said, "Engravings of laws are where all the mysteries and secrets of laws can be found. With these engravings of laws as guidance, you will find that the door to progress will be opened for you." The group of great beings looked at one another. The door to progress would be opened. Comprehend carefully, East Emperor Ancestor said without a second thought. Do not allow yourself to slacken. When someone among you has finally comprehended the secret technique of a Universe Supreme Master, then it is time for the other candidates to all be annihilated. Understood, a few dozen candidates answered deferentially. Purple Moon Holy Land. Purple Moon Ancestor smiled and looked down at the various candidates. Since Duandong River gave you all mountains of icebergs, then by all means, the secret must lie within those engravings of the laws. Comprehend carefully, and you will gain something. Abandon all kinds of thoughts you had previously. Meticulously study and comprehend those engravings of laws from various perspectives. Dear Bug Master was among the first few to answer. Understood. Great beings from other groups of powers of Universe Ocean were all at a loss for words when questioned by their own candidates. This was because even they had not seen those engravings of laws before, so they could only reply, since there is only a mountain of iceberg, then the path to take should naturally fall within the iceberg. We just have to comprehend carefully. The great beings who made it into the space of inheritance definitely gained much, especially the Universe Masters. Most of them originally only possessed the capability up to the 4th or 5th level, but under the guidance of the engravings of law, depending on the length of time spent, they were able to create, one by one, the most perfect combination of strongest secret technique at the level of a Universe Master. If they could make it out alive, all of them would naturally become top-tiered existences at the 5th level. What a pity that out of them all, only one was fated to survive. Years went by. Luo Feng had thoroughly studied all 360 blade manuals and memorized them by heart. His whole mind and body were immersed into careful comprehension of the 3 icebergs, the engravings of laws. Just a single engraving of law. Luo Feng's gaze chased after that meteor-like light, which was flying high and low, creating streams of light shaped into perfect arcs. It looked simple, yet it contained endless meaning. As he watched, that stream of light seemed to grow bigger and thicker, as though it was an incomparably large rainbow. The edges of the rainbow had countless blade shadows, which were either gentle like water, stable as a mountain, or fiery like flames. Every blade shadow had an extremely complex diagram of secret engravings, so complex that it far surpassed what Luo Feng had once seen before in the greatest, ultimate diagram of secret engravings found within the 9th deep abyss. This was something Luo Feng could not comprehend. Countless blade shadows perfectly conformed to one another to compose a gigantic rainbow. This rainbow resembled a simple stream of meteor-like light. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, light, lightning, space, gold space, water space, wooden space, even to water time, gold time. Uncountable secrets seem to be completely fused, yet at times, they are only partially fused. Luo Feng was intoxicated by everything he saw. The engravings of laws were detached from any other individual law, because it contained all the laws and all the mysteries. Luo Feng's left eye kept watch on that meteor-like light, while his right eye was engaged in watching the 3 mountains of icebergs and countless meteor-like light rays that were intertwining with one another to form the magnificent and unpredictable blade technique that was so mystical. Left eye, right eye. One to the meteor-like light, the other to the three mountains of blades. Reflecting and mirroring one another. That was when a mystery arose. Luo Feng was well versed in the gold law, space law, and golden space law. As for the other laws, when he was studying the diagrams of secret engravings, he only managed to acquire scraps of information about them. Even though his comprehension was not high, there was still some understanding. Which was why, when he was looking, Luo Feng could only distinctly identify the blade figure that was mainly based on golden space. While looking, all the blade techniques in the 360 blade manuals were still hovering in his mind, appearing one by one and mirroring one another. With these in his mind, Luo Feng could even naturally create one blade technique after another, all in search of the feeling of looking at the engravings of laws. He could work hard on creating a blade technique with that sort of unique quality. It was just that the blade technique might be too weak, or might already be incomplete from the very beginning. But Luo Feng was not bothered by those thoughts. He still continued creating. Time passed. Luo Feng was unaware of how much time had passed. He was completely immersed in the creating process. Unknowingly, he had finished the analysis of space law. He had even managed to acquire the skill of using all the secret techniques of wood law, water law, fire law, and earth law. Although he had not meant to comprehend these four fundamental laws, due to his overly profound comprehension, the way of utilizing the secret techniques of the four laws was naturally comprehended over time. If he'd had the intention to comprehend these four major laws, he would probably have achieved complete comprehension within 2 to 3 days. Gold. Space. Space, yet to become gold, wood, water, fire, earth. Annihilate. Gold. He did not know how long he spent on comprehending. Space was originally divided into 5 different types, namely, gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. During his long period of comprehending, Luo Feng had familiarized himself with these 5 spaces, and when both eyes were looking at the icebergs, one would focus on the intrinsic qualities, while the other would focus on the external phase in search of the ultimate secrets. Along the way, he had discerned a new route. This is the blade I am looking for. Luo Feng grasped absolute guest blade and silently rose to stand above the chaotic airflow. He wielded his blade. A brilliant ray that sliced across the vast sky instantly. There was an upsurge of light rays that converged into a dark, gigantic sphere. Countless blade rays were suppressed within this black sphere. A single blade ray could actually transform into this black, gigantic sphere within an instant to reach a height of 10 billion kilometers. The black sphere suddenly split apart from the middle. A dazzling golden light appeared, but it vanished in a flash. A clearly visible mark could be seen within the entire space of inheritance. There it remained. I see it. A new life. Luo Feng shut his eyes as tears flowed. He was genuinely touched from the bottom of his heart. This single move had allowed him to advance to an entirely new level. Candidate has created the third form of blade technique, the cold, mechanical voice said in Luo Feng's ears. An heir has emerged. The other candidates. Annihilate. During that long period, all the candidates had seemed to have lost their sanity, as they immersed themselves within the icebergs. Suddenly, an intangible force fell from the star high above and landed directly upon every single one of the candidates. No. Blue Blood's eyes widened as his face registered fear. No, it should have been me. I should be the one succeeding. Thereafter, he lay there unmoving. His godly body looked the same, but his soul was annihilated. Dear Bugmaster, who was in the midst of comprehending, registered a change in expression. This is, then he, too, remained where he was, unmoving. One by one, the great beings froze instantly, as if they had become blocks of ice. They had all been annihilated, leaving behind their godly bodies. At the same time, the divided bodies of these great beings in the other miniature universes, and even those in the primal universe, were all annihilated. The moment an heir was born, the others were annihilated. It was an ironic form of celebration. Purple Moon Ancestor frowned as the candidates fell one after another, including Dear Bugmaster, whom he had the best hope for. He failed. Purple Moon Ancestor frowned. Then who got it? That human from the original universe? Eastern Emperor? Or other powers? Purple Moon Ancestor was anxious, but he couldn't tell which one got the inheritance. He could only tell that the human from the original universe had the best chance. Eastern Emperor, and I need the inheritance from Duandong River. Purple Moon Ancestor thought. It's either that human Milky Way, or blue blood from Eastern Emperor Holy Land. They have the best hope. Eastern Emperor must know which one got the inheritance. Purple Moon Ancestor nodded mildly. I'll see how Eastern Emperor Holy Land behaves to see whether Luo Feng's still alive or not. In a dimension space of Eastern Emperor Holy Land, the candidates, who were originally sitting on the leaves of a towering ancient tree, all fell, and some of the bodies dropped from the tree, diving. Humph! Eastern Emperor snorted. He saw the body of Blue Blood Knight not far from him, and he said, Human Milky Way Horde Leader, Luo Feng. All of the candidates dying at the same time shocked the entire universe ocean. The inheritance from Duandong River was craved by the almost 100 powers in universe ocean, as it was a great way for them to transcend incarnation. Who got it? The human or Eastern Emperor Holy Land? Which power got the inheritance? All the major powers in universe ocean were anxious and confused. However, other than Eastern Emperor Holy Land, nobody knew who got the inheritance. Eastern Emperor Holy Land knew because they saw Blue Blood Knight, which meant it was almost certain that it was that human, Milky Way Horde leader. I've made the breakthrough, and become the new inheritor of Duandong River. Luo Feng sent an email to Huge Axe Creator, and Primal Chaos City Leader, and he disregarded the shock within the human race. Instead, he went to see Duandong River. The stone pillars had stereoscopic phantoms on them, and a man in a white cape was stood among them. When Luo Feng wrote the email to tell Huge Axe Creator, and Primal Chaos City Leader, the white-caped man smiled as he knew what the email was about. The silent war in universe ocean determined the fate of races, and we humans won. Teacher Origin smiled. He knew. He wasn't sure whether he could be free of suppression before the destruction of the original universe during this universe era, but the human race was destined to have a bright future, and it was likely that the third Holy Land would be that of the human race. At the same time, the email was sent to Huge Axe Creator and Primal Chaos City Leader. Space of inheritance. Other candidates, die. The cold, robotic voice was still echoing beside Luo Feng's ears. He turned his head and saw a figure flying in. It was the elegant Duandong River. At the moment, Duandong River was wearing white armor with golden stars on it, beautiful boots and a hat. Master Duandong River. Luo Feng gave a salutation. Don't call me master. Duandong River smiled. You can call me teacher. I'm Duandong River of the last generation, and you're the latest generation. I'm your teacher and your guide as well. Duandong River looked at the 3 icebergs in the distance. He waved his hands, and the 3 icebergs turned into nothing. Huh? Luo Feng turned around. He lamented the loss of the 3 icebergs, for he considered them precious. Ha ha. 820 basic inheritances, you can study them whenever you want. Duandong River smiled. These are all just easy tricks for you to relax with. Duandong River values the core inheritance. Core inheritance. Luo Feng's interest was piqued. Follow me. Duandong River flew out, seeing a space exit outside. Luo Feng followed. He flew out and saw 820 gleaming entrances floating in the sky. Hide. Duandong River glanced around, and the entrances all disappeared. This interested Luo Feng. Duandong River smiled. This is where every generation of Duandong River receives the inheritance. It's a very precious valuable. Much more precious than those so-called supreme true treasures, and it's more special even than some miniature universes. It has lots of individual dimensional spaces, and they form 820 portals connected to the 820 basic inheritances. Luo Feng nodded. He only needed to view this space of inheritance as a special miniature universe. Go. Duandong River took Luo Feng, and with his absolute control over the space of inheritance, he moved Luo Feng to the deeper area of the space of inheritance. Luo Feng saw the change in scenery. He was standing at the top of the mountain. He looked down, and all he could see was mist flowing around the mountain. He wasn't able to see the land at all. Where is this? Luo Feng was shocked. This is the apex of the main area of the space of inheritance, said Duandong River. Look there. He followed Duandong River. Luo Feng saw a human sculpture. He had long hair and deep eyes and was wearing battle armor. It looked like an ordinary human sculpture, but Luo Feng could feel the power contained in it after looking at it for only a few seconds. It was an aloof and special power that was far beyond Luo Feng's understanding. Apparently, the power contained in that sculpture was far beyond Luo Feng's level. He couldn't even identify it at first. This is the third ancestral teacher. Duandong River's eyes were filled with awe. His name is Duandong River Juyi Saint King. Luo Feng was dazed. Duandong River Juyi Saint King. What a weird name. I am the 192nd inheritor, said Duandong River. My name is Duandong River Zhenju Wu. Luo Feng was even more confused. He had thought the full name of this Duandong River was Duandong River Wu. Your future name will be Duandong River Luo Feng. Duandong River looked at Luo Feng. Each generation of Duandong River has the same first name, but different last names. Before I became the 192nd Duandong River, my name was Zhenju. Luo Feng understood now. The real name of the third ancestral teacher must have been Juyi. The third ancestral teacher, Duandong River, gazed at the sculpture in awe. He's the greatest being of Duandong River. The first ancestral teacher was powerful as well, but he was only a supreme being in my civilization. So was the second ancestral teacher. However, the third ancestral teacher was the truly amazing one. He spread the fame of Duandong River, and he stands among the pinnacle beings. Don't use terms like Universe Supreme Masters. It's a joke in my homeland. Duandong River shook his head. The so-called Universe Supreme Masters are called true gods in my hometown. Those weaker than true gods, undying fighters, Universe Knights, and Universe Masters, those are the same. True God is a threshold for supreme beings in my homeland. Although it's considered a great being, it's far away from being at the pinnacle. Even I have never reached that level. Luo Feng listened carefully. He had already deduced that Universe Supreme Masters were called true gods in the ancient civilization. It was little wonder that when the 7 true masters had fought Huge Axe Creator, the strange beast kept yelling, "True God," and "Eternal True God." The third ancestral teacher actually stood among the top beings, exclaimed Duandong River. He was also awed by all the great beings, so he was qualified to have the character for saint behind his name. And when he'd reached his full power, he gained the character for king. He was king of the saints. The real top being. I was also awed by countless great beings, but I was far away from being called saint. I could only earn the character Wu. Wu? He had earned that character. He seemed to have gotten the character from someone else. As for saints and kings, those needed to be recognized by countless great beings. The third ancestral teacher stood at the top, and he perfected the inheritance of Duandong River. Though none of the latter inheritors could reach the level of the third generation ancestral teacher, Duandong River has never stopped. There were 9 who could be called saints. Duandong River is the most powerful inheritance even in my entire civilization. Luo Feng was shocked. He felt so lucky. If an inheritance could have a pinnacle being, it could surely be considered one of the most powerful inheritances. Come and kneel in front of your third generation ancestral teacher, said Duandong River. You're the 193rd inheritor. Luo Feng nodded and walked to the futon made for groveling. He kneeled down and kowtowed. His head hit the rock. Immediately, countless streaks of black light came out of the photon, where Luo Feng was kneeling, and flooded Luo Feng's body. At the same time, the sculpture of the third ancestral teacher emitted light, and shone upon Luo Feng's body. Inherit. Duan Dong River watched in silence. He looked relieved. It was a simple groveling, yet it was the most important step. Inherit. Ah? Even with Luo Feng's willpower, he couldn't help grunting. A trace of black light and a trace of white light were inserted between his eyebrows. A strange inheritance mark was formed. Duan Dong River couldn't help shaking his body. He thought, Duan Dong River Luo Feng. From now on, you are Duan Dong River. This video will end here.